Hey! It's Halloween!
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
What better way to celebrate the spoopy season than we're looking back at some of the spoopy films, TV and games. And by that, I mean things directly aimed for kids and families which I found terrifying as a kid, so we could point and laugh at how much of a wimp I used to be. I still am a wimp though. Although I did watch It last year, so maybe I'm not a wimp.
Yes, I know this isn't the most original idea on YouTube, but I want to do this video for the nostalgia trip. And also because I was most definitely more of a wuss than most people, so the stories will hopefully be funnier and more head-scratching. Before we start, I just want to clarify that this will only include films, TV shows and video games, and only things which aren't supposed to be that scary. So no horror films and no real-life stories. So, without further ado, let's laugh at childhood me.
Where better to start off this Halloween video than with a Christmas film?
No, not The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm referring to The Polar Express, a film I watched absolutely religiously as a kid, and still do now, to be honest. I genuinely love this film, and watch it every year. Whilst I can see why people dislike it, I still love it. Now, I know that many other people find this film creepy due to CG Tom Hanks, but I never found the animation that creepy. Still don't, to be honest. However, there was one scene which I found to be absolutely terrifying. There's one scene where the hero boy and girl...
Oh yeah, none of the main characters have names.
Enter a carriage full of discarded toys and puppets. This image alone is kind of creepy. All those puppets just hanging there, ugh. But the bit which got me was when the Scrooge puppets came to life and started shouting at the hero boy. What? Okay, I know the hobo was the one controlling it, but I didn't know that as a kid, as the first time I saw it, I was too scared to watch, and from then on I would always skip over it. Looking back, it is definitely a bit creepy, but not as bad as I made it out to be. This is still one of my favourite Christmas films.
On the subject of movies I loved as a kid, and still love now...
Monsters, Inc!
Okay, before we start the story, can I just share a niche memory I have with this film? When I first watched it, it was recorded and I'd ads in it. And, like, the ad transitions, they had, like... I don't know how to describe it. It's like the ad transitions had clips from Up, which came out in 2009. And every time I think about that, I feel old, because obviously it was recorded in 2009 and I watched it not so long after. Oh my god, I feel so old. I know there's going to be some people watching and be like, huh, that's nothing. But come on, I feel old. Anyway, on to the story.
Surprisingly, as a kid, I never found the film that scary for the most part, despite having a bunch of monsters running around. I found the film really funny and enjoyable, and that hasn't changed one bit. However, keep in mind that I said, for the most part. There was one scene which I would always skip over every time I watched it, just like with the Polar Express. This was the scene where Sully was forced into the scare demonstration and accidentally scared the shit out of Boo, and out of me. Seeing Sully do a proper scare and properly close up made me feel like I was the simulation child getting scared, and that freaked me out. Doesn't help that the whole thing was essentially a jump scare, and I was terrible with them as a kid. Okay, I still am now. Now, I'm kind of used to the scene, so it doesn't affect me as much, but at the time, I can perfectly understand why that freaked me out so much. I was like 3, and was greeted by this.
Anyone remember Monster House? A lot of you probably do, what am I saying?
By the way, this film doesn't break my rules I set at the start of this video, because the film isn't that scary, as it's meant to be a family comedy with some scary moments and animation. Unlike the previous two, Monster House didn't have a long scene which terrified me. It had one 2-second clip. It was basically a cheap jump scare, which happens when Chowder looks back at the house for some reason. It jumped me as a kid, and I bundled up into a ball every time it appeared since, And because of that scene, I got scared of the harmless credits and the Blu-ray menu. I'd always have to close my eyes and press the buttons. To be honest, I'm still too scared to know if anything actually happens if you stay on the menu too long. Despite that, I still loved this film as a kid and still do now. It's one I try to watch every Halloween.
Speaking of Halloween films, let's talk about Coraline. I'm sure you're all expecting this. Well, you expected wrong, as I never found Coraline that creepy as a kid. I mean, yeah, there's some creepy imagery here and there, but to be honest, I find it more creepy now than I did as a kid, but that's mostly due to fan theories. I'm more scared by jump scares and stuff.
In all seriousness, let's talk about the films I refused to watch because I was scared. One of those films was Shrek. Yes, I was too scared to watch Shrek. This is entirely because of Shrek's roar, and unlike Monsters Inc., I cannot see why I was scared. It's not even that menacing, and it's mostly played for laughs. Because of this, the only Shrek film I would watch is Shrek the Third, because there was no roars. Yes, the one Shrek film I consider to be not canon was the Shrek film I saw the most. I'm ashamed as well, don't worry. I am still baffled as to why I found that scary, but to be fair, I found girls screaming to be scary as a kid. I didn't include any examples of that, like in Monsters vs. Aliens, because it's just too embarrassing to go into detail on, and this list needs some variety.
Speaking of variety, let's briefly leave the animation sphere and head into live action for one of my all-time favourite films.
Ghostbusters! Obviously, Ghostbusters is an absolute classic of an 80s comedy. But little me didn't see it as a comedy, but instead as a horror. I mean, the title scared me enough as Ghosts are scary, Ghosts go boo. But my mum persuaded me to watch it, and I refused to watch after the first 5 minutes because of that goddamn library ghost. Whilst not a jump scare, that is most definitely a scary image, and I didn't want to watch the rest of the film. It was just too scary. Obviously, that opinion is thrown out the window as I adore this film, but I can kinda see why I thought what I did. But at the same time, there wasn't even a jump scare. Monsters Inc. was scarier.
Okay, so those were all the films which scared me as a kid. But before we get into the TV shows, let's take a quick commercial break.
I bet you're expecting one of those driving PSAs, right? Well, I didn't see any scary PSAs on TV, so it didn't terrify me as a kid. It terrifies me now, though. What I'm actually referring to is this fairly infamous ad which you probably know of. Gah! That opening still jumps me, especially when I'm watching a DVD with no idea it's there. It's unexpected and scary. The whole ad is just loud and obnoxious, so no wonder I was scared of it as a kid. Now when I look at it, I flat out hate it. Like I said, it's loud and obnoxious, and it's no wonder it's been memed so much. Even the IT crowd memed it.
You wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a baby. You wouldn't shoot a policeman and then steal his helmet. You wouldn't go to the toilet in his helmet and then send it to the policeman's grieving widow and then steal it again. Downloading films is stealing. If you do it, you will face the consequences.
Whenever I would watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Alvin and the Chipmunks and forgot the ad was there, I would always shit my pants. That opening sting is just so bad, I hate it. The only thing on this list which I still don't like now and still kinda scares me.
Man, these Antipiracy ads are getting really mean.
Now back to our regularly scheduled programme with the TV shows which scared me. Enjoy.
Is Wallace and Gromit a TV show or a collection of short films? I don't know. But either way, who doesn't love Wallace and Gromit? Answer, no one. These two are just too charming for anyone to hate. Kinda like Paddington. And if you do hate either Wallace and Gromit or Paddington, then I respect your opinion, but please, keep it to yourself. I love the Wallace and Gromit films, but I was scared a few times. Whilst this video is technically 10 scary moments, this placement is actually 2 in 1. In the red corner, we have that robot from A Grand Day Out. Just a robot left on the moon who wants to ski. What could possibly be scary about it? And oh my god, it wants to kill Wallace! The idea of this robot just roaming around on the moon without a proper backstory just freaked me out as a kid. And when it tried to cling onto the rocket at the end, I was absolutely terrified when I first watched it. So for a while, I only watched the first half of this short. Did anyone else find this robot creepy? Oh well, this next thing I know I'm not alone on. And in the blue corner, we have another robot. This time, it's that goddamn robot dog from A Close Shave. This damn dog was the reason why I refused to watch A Close Shave for so many years, despite it being a really strong short. I don't know why my voice went so high there. Everything freaked me out about him, from that blank stare, to the growl, to what it looked like without the skin, and from the fact that it was a dog. I had the fear of dogs as a kid. I still do. Yeah, Preston is without a doubt one of the creepiest things to come out of claymation. And I'm talking about claymation! Granted, I haven't seen Isle of Dogs because it just looks creepy on the outside.
This wouldn't be a video of mine without mentioning Doctor Who at some point.
Obviously, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen are definitely scary. But I wasn't too fussed on them as a kid, due to my British genes making me numb to the image of a Dalek. I was terrified of the concept of the Weeping Angels though, so didn't watch any episodes they were in, and even when I was forced to watch Angels Take Manhattan, I just had my eyes closed the whole time. Because I didn't technically watch it, I didn't count it for this list. Also, they're meant to be scary. However, the episode titled The Bells of St. John freaked me out, and I actually watched this one all the way through. In the episode, the Great Intelligence is using Wi-Fi to trap people, which is a more terrifying thought to me now, seeing as I use the internet every day, compared to little me who barely used it. Anyway, the part of the story which really scared me was the concept of the Spoonheads, which was sent out by the Great Intelligence to catch the Doctor and Clara. The reason it scared me was for 2 reasons. 1, the head turning all Exorcist style is a creepy image. And 2, I thought that anyone could be a Spoonhead, from some random bloke on the street to someone in my own home. That was the part which really scared me, although part of the fear was probably down to my dad making jokes about it. I can kinda see why I got spooked, seeing as little me was watching CBeebies earlier in the day and the tonal whiplash probably got to me, but whatevs. I'm not salty as I do enjoy the episode. It's not one of my favourites, but I do enjoy it and still get a chuckle over my initial fear of it.
Okay, enough of TV. TV is bad for you. Let's move on to something better. Like video games. Let's start off with a fairly small video game. A lot of you probably haven't heard of it. It's something called Minecraft.
Yes, Minecraft. One of the biggest games ever, until the controversial piece of shit and the sussy backer tried to take its crown. Even though Among Us is still alive and kicking, Fortnite has ceased to be as popular as it used to be, whilst Minecraft gained a huge resurgence. Anyone who has played video games has at least heard of the name Minecraft. However, I first came across Minecraft when it first became popular by watching the series by the YouTuber known as Blitzwinger. Now, most people's scary stories from Minecraft come from Enderman, Dis 13 and 11, or Herobrine creepypastas. However, mine, get it, was because of that series I mentioned. I got scared of creepers, not because of how they looked, but instead by when they exploded and you weren't expecting it. You're just harmlessly building and you don't even hear the hiss, and then all of a sudden... Sorry, couldn't resist. Surely I wasn't the only one who was sometimes jump scared by creeper explosions, right?
Alright, I hear you. Most of you were scared from Herobrine creepypastas. I get that. Well, here's the story about how a creepypasta scared me. Kinda.
Luigi's Mansion is one of my favourite games to play or watch, especially around Halloween. So I thought it would be a fitting note to end the video on, seeing as this video isn't in any kind of ranking. I just picked 10 funny stories. Luigi's Mansion is obviously a little bit spooky, but not much in the game outright freaked me out. Sure, Chansey, Bogmire and King Boo were a bit freaky, but not something which scared me stiff. The part which scared me stiff was the stuff around the game. Specifically, this picture. It still freaks me out. The reason it freaked me out so much is because, just look at it for a start, and second, because I was tricked through a creepypasta which showed me the infamous lighting glitch which looked like Luigi had, well, you know. The creepypasta claimed that the beta had a timer which meant that after a certain time period, the mansion would disappear and Mario would be lost forever, whilst Luigi made this face and, well, yeah. As a kid, I thought all this was 100% true, and I became terrified of Luigi's Mansion, and of Luigi in general, as I just imagined that face, and that outcome. Turns out that all of that was a load of bull, thanks to Beta 64 showing how the image was just an ending screen and the story was all fake. Yeah, the timer was still there, but that whole story of Luigi doing that was all completely fake. I still adore Luigi's Mansion though. So those were 10, technically 11, scary memories I had from bits of media. From a creepy puppet to Sully's Roar and a house jump scare to Shrek. From that goddamn library ghost to that goddamn piracy ad. As well as 2 robots from Wallace and Gromit and a spoonhead from Doctor Who. And let's not forget about surprise creepers and lies about Luigi's Mansion.
I hope that you enjoyed this video, as well as the change from this channel's norm. Be sure to leave your own scary memories from harmless bits of media down in the comments. If this video gets popular, then I'll do another 10 next year and mention things like the Screaming Girls and... oh my god, I didn't even mention Diesel 10. Anyway, I don't really like saying this because it just feels kind of vain, but... oh, I'm obligated to say it. Like, share, subscribe and all that. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in the video.